Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships. As today, we are back with the Veteran Player Guide series, and I'm going to be doing a mini-map awareness, situational awareness replay. And this time it's going to be with a gunboat destroyer, and then we're going to do one with a cruiser and probably a brawling battleship. So, somewhat similar to the battle thought process videos I did highlighting battleship, cruiser, destroyer. This is going to be a little bit different. Honestly, a lot of the decisions you make as a player, or at least should, it depends, typically revolves around what's happening on the minimap and how the enemy team's positioning, and we get into situational awareness there. If you understand what's happening around you, then you know how you should position accordingly. So that's basically the essence of this video. So in playing the Friesland, just briefly highlighting, this is a gunboat. We don't have any torpedoes. We have a strong hydroacoustic search. It's a 5-kilometer hydroacoustic search, so it kind of really opens up things for us to just go ahead and swing in here into Bravo Cap, being aware that there is a carrier at play, but we even have defensive AA. We have a smoke, so it's okay if we do end up needing to smoke here. And then when you look at the enemy team lineup, there's only 2 radars at play. There's a Kronstadt, which we see, and immediately our situational awareness tells us we need to dive the island so he can't get a shot off on us. And then there's a Cleveland. And Cleveland, I think he ends up being on the other flank or something. So we only have the Kronstadt radar to be mindful of. We do have to be mindful of CV. And if you're looking at the mini-map, I'm not pulling out past the island because there's also a Dutch cruiser. He was highlighted in the D4 square. So I know if I go out, he's probably, if he's paying attention, he'll want to get some shots off on me and reset me in the cap. So we decide it's best to go ahead and not do that and go ahead and smoke up. I'm not using my defensive A still yet. Honestly, I don't remember why. I don't bother with it. I may have forgotten this game that I actually had it. But I do really want to secure the cap here. So you get 4 120s here on Friesland, and we've built into the gun range on Friesland, meaning that we're getting 14.82 kilometer range. But I've also, at the same time, I built in a full conceal, which gives us a 6.4 conceal. As I found, for me, that works best because honestly, it feels like I have to be the one who kind of has to deal a lot with enemy destroyers and whatnot. So it's not the worst, it's not the greatest, but it does help out in that regard when you do need to get the drop on enemy destroyers and such things. So you'll maybe see that a little bit later. It is hard to get a drop on an enemy DD with this ship, but not impossible. So we're just kind of basically controlling the center cap right now. I'm waiting to see what's unfolding before making my next decision. I was trying to get some shots on the battleship there. And then we see there's a submarine that's harassing the A cap. And you can see the enemy team on A flank is actually quite pushed back. C cap, when you're looking on the mini-map, we're losing that side. So what I'm expecting to happen is our team will push through A. And then rather than it being like an F line straight across map control, I'm expecting it's probably going to eventually shift into a 5-line, 6-line control in terms of the mini-map. Control the mini-map control, map control that the enemy team will have versus what we will have. And I'm still not using my defensive AA, so I think I just had a blonde moment and just wasn't using it. So notice we have done damage to the submarine. We're gonna get a lot of depth charges on this submarine to kill this stupid guy. Like, I guess the depth charges aren't as strong as I thought, but I know to help my team succeed in terms of having the situational awareness and minimap awareness, I really need to go get rid of this Bilal for them so they're not punished. Because I think the Bilal just wanted to kind of turn back towards A and just torp them as they're all moving through A. And I don't want that to happen. I want my team to win A flank so they get off A flank and are able to move this kind of shifting mini-map control. So our bombs do, not the strongest, so 2,000. And then when you get splash damage, of course, you don't get the full damage counted on it. So it's probably going to be a lot of splash damages here. But then part of the battle thought process when you're doing things like this, I'm trying to figure out, okay, where am I going to go after we finish off this submarine? And I'm probably going to just move back towards B because I essentially want to position myself to help control and delay any type of points increase from the enemy team. Because we have the points control. That's a big thing in World of Warships that also will sometimes dictate and having situational awareness, right? That you're not just paying attention to how enemy ships are positioned around you, but also situational awareness to say, hey, we're behind on points. We really need to take a cap. Or, hey, we have a point cap lead. We have map control. We have cap control. So let's just focus on defending the caps and not YOLO in like a lot of the player base does, to be honest, and throw the game, right? Nothing like trying to win harder, as it were. So I see the sub. He's out of battery. We do have the extended hydro duration time on here as well, but we have to wait for the hydro to come back up. But the Valkyries have arrived with all their depth charges, so they should be able to finally punish him. So he took 15 depth charges from me, splash damage. He took gunfire from me, and it still wasn't enough to kill the submarine. Like, it's crazy. So we're going to move back into map control, mini-map, center of the map, and reasserting our dominance over the Bravo cap. And what I'm going to do here is actually I'm going to play around the island. So, and part of the situational awareness aspect is like, oh, there's a Kronstadt with a 12-kilometer radar at play. If I can't play out in the open, then I should be playing around an island. That way, if he does light me up, I can simply duck in behind the island if need be. As I do want to move up here and start shooting them. And what I think the enemy team's doing in terms of how they're moving out sea cap is they're probably going to flank around into our spawn, as we have a poor cruiser that's kind of married the island because it's too late for him to get out of there. But I'm expecting them to just kind of swing full around, and that they'll come more from my right. Like they'll kind of advance from, like, for example, G7, H7, kind of swinging around that way towards Bravo cap. So we did get caught in the radar here. We're not really going to panic. We got to see, who's he deciding to focus on. We only have one gun in action, and the damage is going to be going up. It's a little bit of a slower play at first here. But I'm just going to use this island. I'm isolated in the engagement, one-on-one with the Kronstadt. The rest of the enemy team, there's essentially 2 islands between me and them, so I don't really have to worry about it. And I know if it's going to be helpful for our team as they continue to swing around, is we need to get rid of the Kronstadt. So I'm hoping to just kind of overwhelm his heal, his damage control party. So we're just going to keep focusing him. It's easy for us to do. We're going to keep blind firing. It's not like he's really going anywhere. As the smoke dissipates, that was covering him. I think maybe the CV Yorktown laid that for him. But I'm going to keep playing around the island. Also keeping in mind that in terms of the mini-map awareness, the enemy team that's now swinging around from C towards Bravo. So I'm going to be looking over my shoulder. It's part of the situational awareness to see what's happening. And just knowing like that's where the next push is going to come from the enemy team. So in my mind, yes, I'm focusing on the Kronstadt still, but I know my escape route is to go north, like up to D6 is probably what I'm going to do, because I'm going to keep utilizing the islands to my advantage here. You have Preussen, who's still alive and well, and he has a 6-kilometer hydroacoustic search, right? So I don't want to just sit in my smoke screen and just assuming that he's not going to be able not have a hydroacoustic search ready to go. The St. Vincent does make a bit of a mistake here. I'm taking inadvertent fire from him. He decides that he should go bow in and push towards the enemy push. I mean, it's a very healthy Preussen, very healthy Georgia. There's a Kidda that's now smoked up and already dumped torps on him. So like that was a bad play on his end to just think that he could just push out even though he has a super heal, because he's dealing with lots of 457s between Poison and Georgia. And then there's a Mogami. He's going to be throwing a lot of the Japanese high explosive on him. So as this push is coming in, my situational awareness says I need to back off. Even if I back further away, even though I'm not in my smoke screen, it's still an island. My smoke is still extending off to the right side of the island, so I can keep lobbing shells over the island versus if I just kept sitting there. I wouldn't be able to continue to put pressure on the Poison. I say put pressure, it's more like death by 1,000 cuts. So we kind of just want the enemy team to just kind of push into us as we kite away, if you will. So part of that island is getting in my way of shooting Poison, so I'm like, pop a few shots at Georgia, see if I can't get maybe like fire on him, blows DCP, but he also has an engine boost, which makes it sometimes difficult to land the shots. So in the meantime, it's a 5v4 at the moment. I'm hoping our submarine doesn't push into the cap because, you know, Poison hydro acoustic search, and he's already being pinged, so you see the Poison throwing out some depth charges. So that tells me in situational awareness that the Poison is aware that we have a submarine up here, right? So I'm like, okay, got to be mindful of that. So he knows where to be mindful of some threats. So I do go ahead and open up here. The Poison will be going behind the island in the moment. It's a little cheeky of me to probably open up. We have some hit points to play with still, but we took probably an unnecessary risk there. We should probably just waited till he'd gone behind the island before opening up anymore. Because it's better in these type of tight situations like this to retain what hit point advantage we have, especially since there's a Kitakaze still at play. If I have to deal with the Kitakaze, the additional hit points is really going to help me with his pretty strong DPM. I'm pretty sure his DPM is, yeah, it's definitely stronger than mine in Friesland, so I don't win the gunfight with Kitakaze very much as an example. So Poison's still pushing through. We've been trying to get some reset ribbons as well. But notice how I'm smoking here, and I'm kind of moving still a quarter, half speed away. So if Poison's hydroacoustic search is indeed up, I can just dip behind the island and he can't shoot me. But for now, I'm going to be taking shots, and he's showing me a decent amount of side, so I can also switch to armor piercing. I think the armor piercing on these do like 2100. Yeah, it's 2100. So whenever you get broadside targets, right, you should definitely be aware and using your armor piercing. And then I'm going to see if I can get a fire on his bow here. I'm still keep checking. I'm using free look. That's a big thing with situational awareness, is using the right mouse key. And we're just kind of glancing, seeing, are we going to not steer into the island, or are we going to be able to easily continue to get away? So now I'm playing at the Hydra range. And it's like, okay, he doesn't have a Hydra up, but it doesn't mean he might be waiting until it gets a little closer and might try to bait me. Thinking that I'm okay when I'm really not. The other thing is, there's a Kitakaze still at play, right? We finally get that fire on the bow, we get the Witherer, but not having our Hydra yet at that time, you know, being aware that smoke screens are torpedo magnets. So being able to position ourselves away rather than sitting broadside in that smoke, right? But positioning ourselves away where we can more easily dodge torpedoes. So the Kitakaze is pushing up further to the north. Other reason for if Kitakaze pops up, I can just kind of duck in behind the island here. Trying to get more shots lined up down. We have our division picks up shoulder to shoulder. Still lobbing shells. He's kind of kiting out and away. So I think in terms of our DPM and health, we're kind of even almost, if you will, at this point. Because even though I have like 1,000 more hit points, his DPM is quite strong with his amount of guns. So our submarine player gets the kill on Poison. So that's a Wells done. But the Poison did get some depth charge planes off, and it looks like he's okay. So he's probably going to be pushing towards B. When we look at the mini-map, right, you can see the Kitakaze's already turned back around. I don't know if the submarine has submarine surveillance up or something, or whatever you call it, hydrophone, excuse me. So we know that the Kitakaze is already re-engaged and pushing back towards the sub. The sub's probably in a pretty bad spot. If he ends up surfacing, he'll probably be detected. The Georgia kind of went on a wild adventure as he's gone to try to go kill our CV. So rather than him delaying our points intake, he avoids A. When he really needs to secure the kills, and it's just really a time waste for him to just go after our CV, in my opinion. So knowing that the Kitakaze is still pushing towards B, Doom and I are going to go over here and take C. And being part of this situation awareness, I think Doom's hit points are actually pretty low with the Viasma. So I'm expecting that possibly, one is, I'm like, okay, the submarine's probably dead. I don't see him surviving this. And yeah, he goes down. So what the Kita has to do now is the Kita is pressured to get kills, right? I'm checking his concealment. It's like, yeah, it's 6-1. So Kitakaze has to risk his hit points to try to get kills on either me or Doom. So what I want to do is just kind of let Kitakaze push in. And what I'm expecting him, what would be more logical, is to try to push in and see if he can sniff out where I am, maybe before opening up on Doom. But, you know, as I look over to the side there, you can see Doom's really low. So I'm aware that Doom's probably also this low-hanging fruit to the Kitakaze, and that the Kitakaze might just straight up open up as soon as he sees Doom, which he does. So I was trying to get my guns back in this kind of somewhat kiting position here. And then he switches focus to me. He doesn't pick one target. We do a little speed juke, and we're fine. And Doom's still fine as we close in on the points. But George is still dealing it out with the CV now that he's roped around the island. So I basically secured the win. So part of the minimap awareness helps dictate how enemy team is going to be positioning, how they're moving, but also having a situational awareness, right? That Kita knows there's a submarine there, so I should be expecting Kita to come straight at me this way. Or having a situational awareness to see that Doom's really low, Kitakaze will spot Doom first before he spots me, most likely, and then he might open up on Doom. So when you have these things, it helps you just to know what to be looking out for in terms of your battle thought process and the decisions that you end up ultimately making. So playing tier 9 premium with some boosters, 1.6 million credits, very nice, with Bounty, Hunter, Shoulder Shoulder, and Wither with 441 ribbon hits. I don't think I ever used defensive A. I think I totally just slept on that, even though Friesen's among one of my favorite tier 9 destroyers to play. It might be my most favorite tier 9 DD, I don't know. We end up topping the team. The caps, the defended ribbons, the planes, the kills, you know, all feed in ultimately to that 2,300 base XP that you see. And even the submarine player did pretty good. But again, he gets a base XP multiplier that no other ships in the game get. So it's special class, right? Special treatment. And then spotting damage, we didn't do a lot because part of it is we're utilizing islands, we're smoking up, we're not really spotting so much with Friesland. It's not really a spotting destroyer. It's, you know, it's smoke up, engage, utilize islands, have your hydroacoustic search, hunt down submarines if you can. And here you can see a premium count how we ended up with. So that is part 8 for the Veteran Player Guide series today. So I'll do probably Cruiser or Battleship next, and then vice versa after that. So I hope highlighting a little bit of this with the minimap and situational awareness. I might do a live commentary too at some point, so you can kind of get more of my thoughts on the fly. This is just a post-recording or a video that I'm just adding commentary to after the fact. But when you kind of begin to understand, or not kind of, when you understand situational awareness more and the minimap awareness more in the game, then you can make plays and decisions that ultimately will hopefully get you the victory. So if you liked it, give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Until next time, take care.